everyone, I'm Chef Leroy and welcome to my cozy kitchen. Well, today we are going to take on a traditional Korean dish, tteok. This is what that looks like, okay? Well, that's not what the dish looks like. So I picked this sauce up from World Market, and it's kind of a shortcut sauce. There are many recipes out there on the market you can go ahead and create, but I didn't want to buy all the additional ingredients that I don't carry at my house already. So I went ahead and got this. It's more of like a concentrate. Now, I don't follow recipes. I kind of create my own most of the time. On this recipe, on this bottle here, it says to add 5 tablespoons of this sauce to 3/4 of a cup of water. Now, what I did is I used the whole jar with 4 cups of water. And the reason I'm doing that, I'm going to freeze some of my sauce so I can use it in another dish later. But this is the first time I've ever done this. And what I'm going to do, usually the sauce will thicken up a little bit. So the ratio, you could probably tell that would get a little bit thicker. So you bring it up to a boil, you're supposed to boil it for 5 minutes. So what I did is I used the whole jar, which actually came out to 1.5 cups. With 4 cups of water, I brought it to a boil, but I cooked it for 10 minutes. Did it matter? Probably not. It doesn't really make a big difference. It did not thicken very much. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook my rice cakes in the sauce. These are sliced rice cakes. Traditional tteok is usually using the little rods. They look like almost like a penne noodle or a ziti noodle in a sense, but they're completely solid rice cake, okay? They're about the size of my pinky, and generally that's what they use, okay? So that's what the dish is. It's basically rice noodles with vegetables in the sauce, and I'm using chicken, so mine's gonna be a little bit non-traditional. I'm using some chicken breast. But anyway, let me show you what I'm doing here, okay? So let's get after it. All right, so I want to go over the ingredients that I have here so we get that out of the way first. And again, write everything down, okay? So again, this is a traditional Korean dish. It's very popular in Korea. It's considered a street food, honestly. So one of the main ingredients is the rice cakes, okay? Now, I'll show you this. You see this pack right here? That was vacuum packed with my Avid Armor chamber vacuum sealer. So that's what the pack looks like. These were frozen, okay? Now you could pull them from your freezer and you could cook them straight out. But what I like to do, I would like to soak them in some cold water first. But I'll show you that in a minute here. Okay. What I have here is I have some poached chicken breast. I did this just in just straight up water. And I poached them. It took about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or so. They are just plain straight up chicken breast. Okay, this is 1 pound of chicken breast. Okay, is mushrooms. Okay, traditionally you would use shiitake mushrooms. I'm using shiitake with chicken of the woods mushrooms. I got these from a friend of mine. So this mushroom blend right here is equivalent to 4 ounces. All right, now vegetables. So I've got an equivalent of 1 large juicer carrot, or about 6 ounces. This is a half of a yellow onion that I julienned. I've got 1 bell pepper, which I small julienned, and 1 rib of celery, okay? That's what this looks like in here. Everything is small cut, okay? Then, as I said, I have my sauce right here. I've already cooked it. Again, that was 4 cups of water and 1 full container of this sauce. And this is a 16.93 ounce. Why that weird increment? I got no idea. That's how things are. And in these 2 bags, this is 1.5 pounds of rice cakes, okay? Again, these are the sliced rice cakes. So there you have it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my bags, and I'm going to soak the rice cakes in cold water, 20 minutes. Just give it a little stir, just like so. Move this over here so you get a better look at it. Now, do you have to do this step? I don't know. There's all kinds of different things on the web. Like you can soak it. I'm going to soak this in cold water for 20 minutes, but some bring it up to a boil and boil it for a few minutes and then take them out. But I want to cook them in my sauce. Now, I made this sauce pretty thin, and I can show you what that looks like with a spoon. So my sauce is pretty thin, but the rice cakes will thicken the sauce up as they soak up that sauce. Now, one other main ingredient I forgot to mention, green onion, okay? This is 1/2 ounce of green onion that I cut on a bias, really nice and cool looking, okay? So that's my garnish. All right, so let's go ahead and let this soak. We'll start getting our vegetables ready in the pan. All right, so as I've said this many times over about mushrooms, I saute them without oil to start with. So we'll turn our pan on, get it up nice and hot. All right, my pan is getting nice and hot. So these mushrooms here, they taste very similar to chicken. I don't know if you've ever had them, but these are hen of the woods or chicken of the woods. Expensive though, they can be 20 bucks a pound, but I got them from a friend of mine. This actually cuts down on the amount of oil you put in your food. That's kind of why I do it this way as well. All right, so as my mushrooms are getting hot there and cooking, I'm going to slice my chicken up for my dish, okay? I'm gonna cut the breast in half. You can see it's pretty full, it's fully cooked. And I'm gonna cut it into strips. Just like that, okay? And repeat. What's up, Louie? You're looking at my chicken. He's waiting for something to fall on the floor, I think. Here you go. I'll give you a piece. Here you are. All right, let's go check on those mushrooms. All right, those are looking beautiful. We're gonna saute them a little bit more with the veg too, so we don't need to go too far with the mushrooms. And what I'll do is I will add, like I said, I'll add about a tablespoon of olive oil. I throw everything in here. Just let the mushrooms brown up a little bit. I'll be ready for the vegetables. All right, we're getting hot here. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of oil. Okay. Throw our vegetables in. Okay, we're also gonna throw garlic in there. I didn't mention that in the video here yet, but all right, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. There we go. Give that a stir. Whew, everything's looking good. All right, let's just let that cook until those carrots get a little softer, and we'll add our sauce. All right, everything is looking super awesome. I turned my temperature down a little bit. Well, I should say a lot of it. It's pretty low. Now I poured the sauce into my 4-cup measuring cup, and I have exactly 4 cups. So I used 4 cups of water and 1.5 cups of sauce, but after it boiled for at least 10 minutes, it cooked down a little bit, reduced, right? So now I don't know how much sauce I technically need. So before I add the sauce, I want to add my rice cakes, okay? So we're waiting on the rice cakes to soak through for another few minutes here, and I'll drain them and we'll throw them in the pan and we'll see how much sauce we need to cover them. All right, we'll do that in a little bit here. All right, so I've got my rice cakes drained. Now the only thing I can think of when you soak them is it helps to get them apart from each other, because a lot of times they're stuck a lot together in the bags when you get them. So I think that ice water just kind of helps break them up a little bit so they're not all stuck together. So go ahead and throw your rice cakes in the pan. Again, this is 1.5 pounds of rice cakes. Now it's pretty likely that I'm gonna need at least 2 cups. That's what it's looking like to me. All right, and as you notice, I had not added any additional oil, although I just flipped one of my rice cakes out of the pan. Thankfully, my stove is nice and clean. All right, let's go ahead and add the sauce. Now again, the sauce is pretty thin. The rice cakes will soak up the sauce, just like pasta. So I'm going to add 2 cups to start with. And I got my pan down pretty low at the moment. I'm not going to cook it too hard, honestly. That looks really good though. Kind of excited to see how this whole thing tastes. The sauce is really interesting. It kind of reminds me of a sauce that's a cross between a tomato sauce, beef stock, and peppers, and then like a, I don't know, hoisin and oyster sauce. It's really an interesting sauce, honestly. It's very unique. I don't know, this packaged sauce seems to be pretty nice. All right, that looks really good. I'm just gonna go ahead and bring this up to a medium heat. And I'll reserve that sauce off to the side here, so if it starts getting too thick, I can add more sauce. But we're gonna start with that 2 cups. It looks like a pretty good ratio at the moment. And you want this to get nice and thick. That's what you want. And the rice, I didn't really show you the rice cake exactly, but I can show you this one here. So they're kind of flexible a little bit, but they're also sort of dry. So you can see that. They're really interesting. But they'll soak up that sauce really well. All right, we're gonna let that cook and get back to you very soon. All right, so my dish has been simmering for 20 minutes. And as you can see, the sauce has been really absorbed, and now it's really nice and thick. Okay, now I got a decision to make. So as you see, I have not added my chicken yet because I didn't want it to really overcook a lot because it's already cooked. And it's pretty thick now because the rice cakes have soaked up the sauce. And I have basically 2 cups of sauce left. Now that's basically another recipe, right? So I think what I might do, I think I'm gonna go ahead and add some water to this mix. It'll definitely cook down, it'll soak up into the rice cakes, because these rice cakes they're not completely done. Now they should be chewy, that's how these rice cakes are. You'll find the texture kind of strange. They're not like pasta where they're a softer material. These are they're soft, but they're chewy, okay? Anyway, I think I'm gonna add just a little bit of water. All right, I'm gonna add 1 more cup of water to this mix. It might seem like a lot, but I still have all that chicken to add to this. So again, I have never made this before. It's my first attempt. And now you can see how watery it is again, but you'll see in a little bit from now, it'll cook in. Now you want to continue to stir this, okay, as you're cooking it. You want to make sure your rice cakes are completely coated with the sauce as they're cooking, so they do cook through. That looks really good though, I'll tell you that. Beautiful. All right, let's let it cook a few minutes and then I'll add the chicken. Okay, we're back to our Tteok. Gonna go ahead and add our cooked chicken. Stir that in. And you can see how thick this is again. So all that water I added just sucked right back into the rice cakes. Now I just tasted one and it's exactly what it should be, nice and chewy. And I'll tell you something, this sauce has got some kick to it. So you gotta like some spice if you want to eat this. This has a little bit of a kick to it. All right, that's beautiful. And what I'm doing today is also a little less traditional, is I'm going to serve this on top of some steamed bok choy I have sitting off to the side here. Yeah, that's beautiful. Hopefully the chicken mellows out that spice. It's got a nice kick to it, but that's Korean food. All right, let's just let it go. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it way down now because we're not ready to eat, so I'm just gonna let it kind of hang out here on the stove. I'll probably put a piece of aluminum foil on top to keep the nice heat in there, and I'm just gonna turn it really nice and low. All right, guys, so I've got it covered up. Just gonna let that sit in there and stay nice and warm, and basically it's ready to eat. So that's it. I'll give you a recap on everything and show you what it looks like after we plated it. Okay, guys, I'm gonna do a recap, and I am finished with my tteok. Now, I might be gutting the name slightly. I may not be pronouncing it exactly, but guess what? I'm not Korean. I know. But I got this at World Market, and I kind of just came across it, really. I was walking through the store, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. It's really good. Now, you gotta like spicy, because it is a little bit on the spicier side, but it's not crazy spicy, okay? So, this is pretty awesome. I used my rice cakes, which are sliced rice cakes. Make sure you write everything down so you remember where you're at. Was 1.5 pounds of the rice cakes. I used, well, what I did is I started out with my water and my sauce, and I used 4 cups of water, and I used 1.5 cups of this, which was the complete bottle, okay? Brought it to a boil. I actually cooked it for 10 minutes, and I ended up with 4 cups when it was finished. So I used 2 cups originally with my dish, as you saw, and I added an additional cup of water. And that really put everything together really well. And probably the water helps cut that heat a little bit too. Again, we used some shiitake mushrooms in there. It was about, and I used the hen of the woods too, or the chicken of the woods. You want to use about 4 ounces. Or again, I had 1/2 of a yellow onion, which was julienne really thin. I had about 1 sweet pepper, which was seeded, and small julienne. Again, I used part of green pepper as well, just to try to use up my product. I did a rib of celery, which that's not traditional, but I had it and I wanted to use up the celery that I had. And then 1 large carrot, and it's about 6 ounces of carrot, okay? Everything is cut really thin. And then I used 1 tablespoon of garlic when I was sauteing my vegetables after I did my mushrooms first, with 1 tablespoon of oil. And then when you are finished with your dish, don't forget to garnish it with your green onion. Okay, so I'm hoping the dish goes over well. I think it will. The rice cakes are really nice. I think they're pretty much perfectly done. They got that chewiness to them, which they're supposed to be, and they're a little bit soft as well. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will post a photo at the end of this of what the dish looked like on top of that bok choy that I did. But otherwise, you guys have a really good day. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, ding, 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 ding. Leave me any comments at the end of this if you'd like. I appreciate that. Otherwise, Chef Leroy, and out.